like regiment it or schedule it. Hey, I have from 12 to 7 or 8 p.m. to eat food. And I can eat one meal, I can eat 3 meals. That's when I eat.
Yeah.
Obviously, don't binge on crap, kind of what we've already talked about. Keep it clean. But then the rest of the time, you just don't eat. Mm-hmm. And, you know, there's hacks. There's water. Obviously, drinking water with electrolytes, tea, coffee in the morning, stuff like that will help your body to, you know, have substance in it, but without, like, having to give it any calories.
Welcome to the Full Fuel Podcast.
Full.
I'm your host, Matt Tack.
Alfred Alessi.
Dr.
Alfred Alessi.
And we're going to be talking about one of my favorite topics today, as well as yours, and we're going to be talking about fasting.
Love it, man.
I think it's part of it's fuel.
Yeah.
It's definitely fuel.
Yeah.
Without having actual fuel.
It's a great way to, yeah. Without having, like, exogenous fuel, right?
Exactly.
You're using what your body has inside.
100%.
Yeah. That's great.
It's I think we talked about in the previous episode of it's honestly allowing your body to relax and then not thinking about it. It's like giving a relaxation period to your body. Yeah. Considering we overwork it all the time. But yeah, let's dive right in, man. Take us through a couple of
like what you just said is it's giving your body a break, right, from the constant stuff in our face all day long, right, which is like a lot of what this like culture promotes, right? Everywhere you go, there's signs and stuff like get this, eat this, blah, blah, blah. And these foods, which we've touched on before, but I'll just kind of reiterate, they are meant to make you want more, right? They're meant to be addictive. So much sugar, so much processed stuff that's meant to be easy to eat a lot of very quickly, right? And so, like, if you think about it, like, the foods that are harder to eat quickly and a lot of tend to be better for you, right? Like, how quickly can you eat, like, a nice, like, grass-fed steak and broccoli? Not that fast. You got to chew that stuff up, man. You got to break that down and get it in rather than, like a bag of Cheetos. Yeah, it dissolves in your mouth, and it's like got so much flavor. It's just like you could literally like drink a bag, dude. Oh man, when you see people just driving around and drinking freaking chips, you're like, oh, I hate that. I've done it, but
just like shaking the bag of the chips.
That's right.
With the bottom of the
you got to get the
crumbles, just
the remnants. Yeah,
go all over your face. You're like,
but yeah, man, that's the whole concept of fasting, right? It's like hitting the reset button, giving your body a break, allowing the body to start to process some of the stuff that's been in there. The term is autophagy, right? Which I know we wanted to get into this a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'll talk a little bit about it. You talk a little bit about it, but essentially autophagy is like cellular cleanup. So your cells are always working. They're processing. And this is all the cells in your body, right? They have to work on a daily basis. It's like machinery, right? Yeah. But if it's constantly going, during that process there is waste that occurs, right? Cellular waste. And so these cells that basically die, they're called senescent cells. They're dying off. They have to be processed and cleaned out. And that's what autophagy is. It's self-eating is what the term means. Autophagy, right? So your body has to basically eat those cells, get rid of them, get them out. But if you're constantly bringing in new stuff, it's like, well, we got to process this new stuff before we process that stuff. So it's constantly working and it doesn't have time. And that's where fasting comes in. And your body's able to kind of reset, recharge, clean up, get everything out, and be ready for what's next.
And how cool is that process to think about is that your body, literally through not eating, hydration is always beneficial.
For sure. Yeah.
Because you want to be feeding those cells with hydration so that they actually can move. They're hydrated. But is that they can start attacking the bad cells that are in your body, right?
Yeah.
The bad cells that eventually become inflammatory and then work against you to create rheumatoid arthritis, that are creating cancerous cells that are eventually going to invade your body and turn into something that you don't want to later in life.
Yeah.
And through an element of fasting and autophagy, that's a controllable. You can eat less, right? Caloric restriction.
Yeah, and those cells, they age you, right? They cause your body to age, right? This causes breakdown of tissue and stuff like that. So people who fast tend to feel younger, look younger, right? Have more energy, right? I know you fast, what, would you say daily or
yeah,
a couple times
daily.
a week?
Honestly, I got in a really good cadence with my fasting schedule because it was always really hard when you're fasting, like, in a waking period, right? So like that waking period is, I I like maybe stopped at dinner and then I'm going to go 24 hours, or I eat breakfast and I'm going to go the entire day, right? Yeah. Whereas I found a cadence, and this happened like just even a couple months ago through reading Dr. Mark Hyman's book. He just gave like some hours in there as like ideas.
Yeah.
And so I find that like stop eating at dinner and then picking back up again around 10:30 the next day. Yeah. It gives me roughly around, sometimes I'll eat a little bit before, but like 14 to 16 hour fast.
Yeah.
And what's cool, and I found out, is that I do things on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday that accelerate my autophagy. I did not know you could accelerate it, but you can accelerate it through cold plunge,
Yeah.
So my metabolism working, the body has to like work. So I obviously cold plunge for 3 minutes before I go work out. So doing those two things really push the autophagy process faster.
Yeah.
So some people that are going to have that same fasting window of 14 to 16 hours, they might only get 2 hours of autophagy in there. But considering that I'm doing a few more things that extend that process or accelerate that process, I might be getting 4 or 5.
Yeah.
So it's been really cool, and it's seen massive benefits in terms of just the way my body feels. I mean, I was showing you that I could jump over that
was solid
pylon.
You jumped over the counter essentially.
Jumped over the counter.
Yeah. Well, I got to get something real quick. I'm just going to jump over this counter instead of walk around.
That's right.
Yeah.
I 100% couldn't do that a few years ago.
Yeah.
But just being in tune.
Yeah.
And those things, man, I'm telling you, joints feel better. The body just naturally feels better.
Yeah, you don't have that waste hanging around, right? You don't have that extra oxidized stuff, right? Because your body has to do something with it, so it's going to start to process it, and like you said, it becomes inflammatory, and you feel it. Tell me a little bit about, like, okay, so most people think fasting has to be this, like, starvation, like, I look like, I'm going to feel like crap, I'm going to be hungry, like, all that. What's your time frame? So just... And I can share mine as well, but like, when do you stop eating at night, and then when you start?
Yeah, so
it's nice to have like a set thing. Most people can operate with that,
My biggest meal is always dinner.
Yeah.
Like I have my biggest meal, so like that's where my calorically dense meals are a little bit later in the day.
And that's like breaking the like traditional, like, breakfast is the most important meal, like,
Oh yeah,
because that's marketing.
Well, I wouldn't be able to talk to you as clearly as I am right now.
I'd be sleeping.
If I had a big breakfast, it would definitely slow me down. Yeah. So I actually prefer this like kind of window now that I create for myself, is because I definitely am more optimized in the mornings. And then, later in the day, honestly, I tighten up my work days. Like, it's, some stuff here and there, but I don't work a ton at the back end of the day. Just because I know I need to fit so much more in the beginning. So that's why I wake up at 4:45 a.m.
Yeah.
Right? Get the things, my things that I need to get knocked out, work basically up until noon pretty hard. And then, I'll take some meetings on the back end of the day. But for me, it's definitely stop eating at 6. I want to snack. Dude, I've been doing this really weird thing. It's slightly empowering, but like not at the same time. But like, my wife, so we're not on the same schedule. She doesn't fast, and there definitely is some processed foods in there. But at the same time, like, I'm not always doing the grocery run. Right. I order our meats now.
Yeah, kids, man.
So exactly. Yeah. I order our meats, which are really easy because, and we'll actually give this as an affiliate. If you're in the Central Florida, if you're in either Jacksonville, Tampa, or Orlando, we get grass fed, and with we'll have a full fueled 10% off for anyone that wants to order, but it's a local pickup, so you can get that every month. All grass-fed beef.
What's the name of the farm?
Spread Oaks Farms.
Spread Oaks.
So they're actually part of. It's actually where we have our mushroom farm, where we grow. Cool. Actually, the lion's mane mushroom is there.
Awesome.
So we've partnered up with them, and we'll offer that to our audience. But so what's really cool is that I will go in sometimes and look at the refrigerator and say nope. They close it, dude. Yeah. I'm like, and it's like this empowering thing is that like I can say no to food after a certain time. So I'll stop eating at like usually around 7 is like the latest. And then I'll pick back up again about 10:30 a.m. the next day.
All right, let's dig on that a little bit, because most people can't do that, right? Most people, they open the fridge and they see a Twinkie, or I don't know, Twinkies aren't in the fridge, but like they see something, right?
They last longer in the fridge. Right?
Yeah, actually probably might taste better too, but they see whatever's in the fridge and it's like, it's not even, it's impulsive, right?
Yeah.
And I used to be that way, right?
Yeah,
Especially like in high school, bro, I just eat everything. It was just like, you just open it and you grab what's there and you start eating it. And that's that mind. I think that's that mindless kind of just like, I have to eat something.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas like, if you can be intentional about like, no, I am going to be fasting for the next 16, 20, whatever hours.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need that. I can do without it. Right.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to get there? Right. Because were you always like that, or was
no
that...
way, man.
Right.
I like always wanted to, you just want to grab stuff, right? And you know, it's the environment, right? So if I'm working from home and I have to go through the kitchen to the bathroom, like I'm in the kitchen, and naturally there's going to be triggers that pop of like, oh man, there's food in here.
Yeah.
Like, and then I'm just like carnivorous. I'm just like, oh man, I just hunger, you know, I just got to eat something.
Turn to an animal.
You do. And it's just something, I don't know when it actually clicked of like, I did that and then I just shut it because I'm like, no. And then like I told myself no, or I opened up the refrigerator, no. In fact, you know what it was? Is when I made the decision that I was no longer going to have refined sugars in my diet, right?
Cool.
And so I always wanted to, like, whenever I open something up, I definitely look at things now. Yeah. That is like one major thing that I've like completely restrict out of my diet. Yeah. And it's like really hard because, dude, I love ice cream. If there's like something I love, it's just like, I'll eat I would eat like a whole gallon.
I don't know anyone who doesn't, though. Like, ice cream is like, it's meant to be, it's sugar and fat, bro.
Yeah.
Like, it's meant to be amazing, you know?
It's just so amazing.
Yeah.
And that creates that, like, you know what I mean? Sometimes we'll go up to Bo's or whatever. That's a special scenario. Yeah. But at the same time, like, at home, I do not eat refined sugars, even though they're there. And I started saying, nope. Yeah. So now that has transitioned to like, do I need a snack? Am I just eating to eat at this point?
Yeah.
And then I'll, like, you know, obviously pop in a nutritious pouch. I do snack on something throughout the day. Yeah. So like if I need just like calories in my diet, I will do that. But I do get, you know, every day I get roughly around like 14 to 16 hour of a fast, and obviously crossing days until I break the fast from the night before.
I think that's encouraging, man, for people who have never even tried fasting or thought of it, or the thought of saying no to a snack, you know, is like weird. I think that's encouraging that, like, hey, like, here you are, you fast daily, you are in great shape, you do all these other things, but you weren't always there, right?
No
so it's
way.
Like, dude, it takes intention, it takes time, but it's like those habits they start as conscious and becomes unconscious. Yeah, right? So it's like you have to consciously at the beginning be like, no, I'm not going to eat that bag of gummy worms. And then, you know, whatever amount of time later that you develop that skill or that fortitude, it becomes like you don't even look at the gummy worms.
That's right.
Right? Like, I drive down the street and I don't even notice fast food restaurants. People will be like, it's by the McDonald's on the corner. I'm like, where? Like, they're like, oh, there's like a grocery store there. I know that, right? Because I have to buy groceries, but like, I just don't register that because I've trained myself to not even consider that food.
That's right.
Right? Because it's just not part of my life. But
when I used to work at Accenture, I was about 235 pounds, dude. I was a big boy, and my head was a friggin' bowling ball. And every day, like, I could not. They had this big bowl of candy. Every time I came out, I was like, I ate a piece of candy. Like, it was like literally, and I would go to the bathroom like 3-4 times. I'd drink some water, whatever. I'd go, like, I'd eat candy, just shove it in my mouth. So I was at 235 pounds, super undisciplined. Like, oh yeah, I'm young. You know what I mean? I'm 20. Right. I'm 26, 27 years old. Like, I can eat this. Like, oh, I can get. But that's what people say, right? Oh, I can. You build those habits whenever in life. It doesn't matter if you're like 80 years old. You can still build those habits and still feel better. I truly believe that as well. But that, like, discipline of like, oh, because I'm young, that means I won't get sick. That's not true at all. Yeah. Like, you want to build your habits earlier rather than later. Time. Even though you can create those disciplinary habits. Yeah. I just happen to be like then in my 30s, and I'm like, you know what? like, I'm going to start building healthier habits. And then that was a long process in terms of like where I'm at now. Like, but snacks were a huge thing. I would like snack. I would eat a bowl of chips like at 8 p.m. because it was comfort, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Not a healthy lifestyle. In fact, one thing again impacts your sleep when you do that.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, maybe you can get away with it when you're younger, right? Like I could eat whatever I wanted in college. Doesn't mean I should, right?
That's right.
That food, even though I'm not gaining weight, right, and that external isn't changing, like I was shredded in college, but like, you know, just because I could look like that doesn't mean the inside's not being affected. Yeah. Right. What does that processed food and all that junk do into my cells? Right. That's what's making them.
That's right.
Yeah. Let's, you know, so you do more of like a intermittent fast, which is what I would call that. Right. So 16 hours. Yeah. True fasting is like a day or more, like 24 hours. Right. If you're talking about an actual fast. So you can say intermittent fasting, you can call it time restricted eating, which is also another way to think about it. Right. You're just kind of like, which is good for some people because it's like some people are just very like analytical with time. They're like, well, I do this at this time, I do that at that time, I have this amount of time for work, blah blah blah, family. So then put your food in that too, right? Like regiment it or schedule it. Hey, I have from 12 to 7 or 8 p.m. to eat food, and I can eat one meal, I can eat 3 meals. That's when I eat. Yeah. Obviously, don't binge on crap, like kind of what we've already talked about. Keep it clean, but then the rest of the time you just don't eat. Mm-hmm. And, you know, there's hacks, there's water, obviously drinking water with electrolytes, tea, coffee in the morning, stuff like that will help your body to, you know, have substance in it, but without like having to give it any calories, right? And a true fast is 0 calories. I know there's science that says like you can get like up to like 50 calories and still be in a fasted state, but like true fasting, in my opinion, is like just go all in, right? Don't like try to fudge water it and stuff. Yeah.
Caffeine though. As far as coffee, is that something, or no, calories. You would say water only?
No, I think coffee can actually help because it's thermogenic, right? So if the goal of fasting is weight loss, that helps a lot. So it's going to give your body a little bit of metabolism boost. It's thermogenic on the system as well. There's good phytonutrients in coffee. Mm-hmm. I think organic coffee only, right? Like most coffee out there is crazy moldy, right? And they don't obviously promote that, but try to stick to organic coffee if you can, then you're not just like burning the body even more. But so time restricted eating or intermittent fasting is one way. There's a strategy called like 1 meal a day, or people call it OMAD. I don't know if you've heard that acronym.
OMAD, no.
That one's a little tougher because then you got to get all your calories in one meal. That's a freaking big meal, right? So most people tend to binge or kind of just go crazy on those because they're so hungry and they're like, well, I got this one meal, I'm just going to go get a large pizza. And just smash. So you got to have discipline there as well. And then there's like doing like full day fasts, maybe like 1 day a week you just don't eat. Yeah, I love that. I do that from time to time. And there's times where I'm like, damn, I didn't go grocery shopping. I was busy or something, and I don't have anything in here that I'm going to eat. I'm just not going to eat. Yeah. And I don't freak out, right? You can use supplement and stuff like that to get you through it. I think for the sake of starting, that is a lot for people. Yeah. So sticking to, I just heard something that, and I've known this, but it was nice to hear a confirmation study that 12 hours is kind of the minimum, right, where you get benefit. 12 hours. That's it. That's so easy. Most people probably do that already.
Even if you sleep for 7 hours, you know.
So it's like don't eat after 8. Yeah. And then don't eat before 8. Yeah. That's so easy. So and then over time you just tack on an hour. Mm-hmm. Tack on an hour, right? I think that was for women, right? So men is probably closer to like 14. Okay. But still, that's very doable. Yeah. Most people just are a little like they don't know what they don't know, or they're scared of the unknown. You know, what about my blood sugar and that kind of stuff? Which kind of brings us into the next portion I want to talk about is that metabolic flexibility piece, right? If you don't eat for 5 hours or 4 hours during the day and you get shaky and you feel blood sugar dropping, you are not metabolically flexible. Your body does not know how to handle not having fuel coming in. Mm-hmm. It doesn't know how to shift from that glycolytic sugar carbohydrate consumption to more of like a fat burning, right? And using that as fuel. That can be trained, right? So I always have to tell people this because they're like, well, I just can't. I'm gonna get shaky or I'm gonna feel low blood sugar. It's like, well, we have to work on it, right? Mm-hmm. You push it a little bit to where you feel okay, and then as you get better, you push it a little bit more. Yeah. Push a little bit more, and eventually your body will adapt. The body's a miraculous machine, man. It's meant to adapt to stress. So, metabolic flexibility essentially by concept is like being able to, one day I eat 3 meals a day and it's just a normal day and I'm good at that. And then the next day I don't eat at all. Then the next day I fast for 12 hours. Then the next day I eat, it's Thanksgiving and I go ham on the ham. And then the next day I fast again, right? So it's like being able to be flexible with it, which is a great term is intuitive fasting. Kind of just like listening to your body. And there's a book by Dr. Will Cole that I loved. I love that book, and I use a lot of those concepts because it's like, listen to your body in that situation. You have a higher stress day where you're going to be burning a lot more calories. You're going to be exercising. You got meetings. Yeah. You should probably have more fuel in your body, right? Maybe fasting isn't the best in that day, right? Like stay-at-home moms or even like working single moms. Yeah. Fasting's probably not the best for that, right? That high stress state requires more caloric intake, requires more fuel. People who say maybe you have an off day and you're just going to be chilling, fast that day, right? Like you're not going to be overly burning stuff. So it's like being able to be flexible, listen to your body and what it needs and respond. And I don't think enough people listen. I think that everyone's just impulsively making decisions, just going through the motions.
Yeah, so my thought process too, you want to make sure you know what...
If you want to hear your question answered live on the show, submit it to ask@fullfuel.com. Check out the Optimizers program where we build max muscle, improve longevity, and get guys freaking shredded so that they can crush it at life for as long as possible.
Live full fueled, live beyond limits, baby.
You're going into as well. And I'll give case in point. If you're going into a board meeting, and you need to recall information and you need to be very in tune from a neurological, and you need to understand it is maybe slightly fasted or a small portion of that allows your body to operate with as minimal as calories as possible, but being neurologically focused. If you are a stay-at-home mom and you need that and you are burning at a higher rate, right? Not to saying your gig isn't important, but at the same time, your caloric intake can look a little bit different in terms of what you're putting into your body because there's movement involved there. Right. So neurological focus is like a really big piece. So what I'm doing right now is I didn't want a ton of calories in me. I wanted a small, finite amount of calories in order to make sure I'm optimized, thinking clearly, not stumbling over my words or stumbling over my word, which I am.
Literally just stumbled.
Literally.
That's okay. But yeah, man. And a lot of it is like fasting is a bit of a stress, right? It's a hormetic stress. Hormesis is like good stress on the body. Things like exercise, things like sauna, cold, the stuff that you do. Fasting as well, right? It is stressful, right? Your body feels that impact of it. It feels discomfort. And that's where the adaptation comes over time too. But I don't like to tax stress on stress. So, if someone's life is already stressful and crazy, like I'm probably not going to recommend fasting right away. It's like, let's manage that. Let's do some interventions to get you a little bit more controlled in that area. Figure out how we can like supplement and stuff. And then from there, get into maybe let's do some fasting. Yeah. It all depends on goals. It depends on what people are trying to achieve. Like what are you looking to get from it? Right. Because, we talked about the benefits, obviously autophagy, longevity, huge, mental clarity, weight loss, right? That's a big one. And that's a big part of what I do in my practice is weight loss. And it's, you don't eat 2 extra meals a day, you're already going to be calorie restricted. You just are, right? Like most people start fasting, they're going to lose weight. That's just how it goes, right? Unless they're somehow eating 6,000 calories in one meal. I don't know if anyone could do that, bro. That's like so hard to do. That's so much that like, I don't know if that volume is even possible. I couldn't.
Yeah. What people miss out on though is like how many calories you actually drink. Like people drink a lot of their calories. Yeah. And so it's like thousands of calories a day, especially if you're going to put sugary things in your coffee where then coffee turns into 500-700 calories. Right. And it's insane. You're like massive coffee from Starbucks and then you load it up with like all this food. Like,
and that's a good point is we talked about coffee earlier. It has to be black coffee. Yeah. Black coffee, plain green tea, or water. Those are things that during a fast can help you get through it without breaking the fast, right? They almost are like aids, fasting aids. But you dump a bunch of sugar and cream into the coffee, you're no longer fasting. Yeah. Now you're just spiking your blood sugar. so that in an hour that blood sugar is going to drop. You're going to feel like crap, and you're going to binge on whatever else.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a lot of the other piece of it, man. Is like fasting helps you to get more of a stable insulin spike after meals. Right. It's going to keep you more like this versus I eat, boom, then I don't eat, and then boom,
Yeah,
and that's what makes people feel lousy, and makes you binge and want to pursue more, whatever.
Yeah.
Because your body's not. It's so imbalanced.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's huge. What I've been actually walking through a few guys through right now, and it's been really beneficial. But it's something that I started incorporating because I wanted there to be like some level of traction. But I do this like brain priming in the morning.
Cool.
Part of it, I wake up, I pray, I then go into a cold plunge, but then I stretch. I stretch the body as a modality to just like elongate and be a little bit more present. What's wild about it is it allowed me to be more present, like with my hunger. Yeah. It's like almost a meditative state. That it was like, okay, I'm going into this day like fasted, but it just like if you're putting food in your body or coffee in your body, like I don't even do that now. It's water. Cool. Then I'll drink coffee during my fasted state. But those things that I've been doing have allowed me just to get way more in tune with how my body feels. How do I like my left knee? Did I like injure that? What's going on there? Yeah. When I go into a stretch, but like I have to be fasted almost to understand that. And then also realizing like that improves my circulatory state. Yeah. Obviously blood's flowing through my body. The more elastic I become. I know we're going off on a little bit different topic there, but like I have to be fasted really to be in tune with like where my body is head to toe. Yeah. And it really, really helps me in the morning of having those primings, but specifically that stretching component of like being fasted, understanding where kind of like blood is going. Cause that really is, you have more blood flow, the healthier you will be. Right. Like naturally, like you have more blood flow going to every single extremity in your body, including your brain. Like you're going to be a lot healthier.
Stuff's going to get where it's got to go.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Anything you put in now in your bloodstream is going to get there.
That's right.
Yeah. And I like that you brought that up because fasting is like another benefit, man. It does get you into a state of deeper consciousness, right? Mm-hmm. You're unlocking different, neurotrophic factors in the brain that are being released to get you through that fasting. Ketones are being burned. Your body's going to be, because, historically or traditionally it's been used for connecting with God, right? Or whatever your religion may be, connecting to that higher power, I believe in God. And so when I'm fasted and I feel those little bits of hunger, right? My body giving me little signals. It's like, give that up, right? Like, let me thank God for the fact that I can eat on a daily basis, right? And I'm not starving, right? Yeah. And so it's like, use it as opposed to like fear it. Yeah. Use that discomfort. Use that. The same way a lot of people go to the gym, right? But then they can't understand the concept of fasting and being uncomfortable. Yeah. Working out's not comfortable. Usually there's some like stress and strain involved. Like you feel burn, right? Yeah. It's not comfortable, but you grow from that. It's like 100%. Fasting is very similar, man. Like grow from it. Yeah. More on like a conscious, mental level.
My wife brought this up actually the other day. She's like, "You love working out," and I'm like, "I do not love working out. Like, if I had the option to like look like this and not work out, 100%, I'm picking like the option not to do that.
Inherently lazy, bro.
Yeah,
me too.
Like, Dave Asprey does some form of that, which I'm like, I don't know if I believe it or not. He does this like 20-minute stimulus therapy for his muscle group. You ever heard of that?
It's I forget the name of the machine. It's a machine, and you get on there, and essentially, rather than having to do 5 sets of 12 reps of dumbbell press, you push as hard as you can against resistance, and it matches your push to the point that you fatigue in one set. Probably takes you like 30 seconds, I think, something like that, depending on how much you can put. But the harder you push, the more it's going to push back, so it's going to match your resistance. Okay. The concept is that you get the same of like a week's worth of workouts in like 20 minutes. Okay. But those machines are like probably few $10,000, something like that, right? Yeah. So you got to go to these places that have it. But I also think then, like, what are you doing the other 5 days of the week? He's different. He's obviously a biohacker who's like in tune with his health, but like, I like having that routine of like.
He also thinks he's like kind of jacked, and I'm like, yeah.
I mean, he looks good for his age. Yeah, but yeah,
I think I don't know.
And everyone's genetics, It's like some people just aren't gonna have that like V shape.
As always, this episode is brought to you by Nutritious, convenient optimized superfood nutrition powered by nootropics, designed to elevate your physical and mental performance no matter what life throws at you. Nutritious has been proven to improve cognition, boost memory, and speed up mental and physical processing. Alfie, tell everyone where they can get it.
Yep, head on over to newtup.com to experience these benefits for yourself and live beyond limits today.
Like body.
Yeah, exactly. And then you're going to have, like, obviously, there's some guys that either dye their hair or they're going to be gray and naturally look, depending on hair color, that it's going to, you lose your hair, you're going to be like, I mean, I was friggin' back here until I got myself lined up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that is also, you know, there's different modalities if you have the money to do so. I do CrossFit. And I do genuinely, like, I like the camaraderie of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what creates the influence.
Culture,
you know what I mean? Yeah. The culture, the HIIT type training, the accountability piece. But at the same time, I don't know. Like, I probably would not do it. It's not like, it's hard, you know, when you're, like, out of breath. But one of the keys to longevity is, you know, how can I get my VO2 max up? Like, VO2 max is huge.
That's right.
And something we'll tap into when we, you know, go into the physical exercise component of fitness. But fasting has been a major component. I do like going into working out nearly in a fasted state. I actually always go in a fasted state, so that's how I work out. Do you work out fasted?
Sometimes. Yeah. Like if I do a morning workout, I'm not gonna eat before. Okay. There's a concept of like fast and then feast, right? So it's like when you're fasting, your body is going to be like shutting down certain things, and then when you start eating again, it's gonna almost have like this hyperdrive of like secreting certain compounds, right? There's a compound called mTOR, mechanistic target of rapamycin, which is a muscle building receptor in the body. When you fast, your body limits it. As soon as you eat a meal, and if it's a high protein meal, your body's almost like double down on like how much it's gonna turn that on, and so like the protein synthesis revs up. So you go fasted, you lift, you break down muscle tissue, and then you hit a big meal with a lot of protein, some good healthy simple carbs, or even like starches that are gonna like get the insulin pump in, get your body to distribute everything. Your body will get a higher, will have a higher protein synthesis rate than, you know, if you ate before that workout.
How is there a distance between the time then of like when you end your workout and when you should eat a large meal?
The post-workout thing that everyone has always talked about, that 30-minute window, there's so much conflicting data that like it used to, and I think a lot of that was for like selling protein shakes. Oh, okay. Like you got to eat 30 minutes after your workout, but you can't get a meal in protein shake, bro. And I think a lot of that was marketing. Okay. But there were some studies that backed it up. I think like after a workout, your body is like trying to repair right away. You're right. Like, so, you know, your body's being broken down, it starts repairing instantly. So that's where like even intra-workout fuel is good. Like while you're working out, drinking some kind of like complex carbs like dextrose or even like those even like a protein shake during the workout, which I don't know if I'll do that because
that's what nutritious, man. Like it's something where you're depleting your carbohydrate source, right? Your body then is asking for glycogen. That's it. It gives you a little bit more focus and allows you to fuel the back end.
Yeah, so going into it, that's like a hack, right? For like building muscle, going into a workout fasted and then big protein meal after. Fast to feast.
Fast to feast.
I love that concept. Yeah, it's cool.
Let's take anything else from the audience.
No, I think that was pretty comprehensive, man. Let's ask.
That's good. What do we got, Blake?
What habits can I stack with fasting to make it easier to get into the optimal when first starting out?
That's good.
That's a cool question.
Yeah. I would say, you know, hydration is always a really big thing for me because then it fills up the stomach with at least water to have some level of satiating peak component to it. Yeah. Coffee helps that because caffeine naturally elongates that satiating mentality of like, hey, I probably can go a little bit longer. So when you have black coffee, that always helps me and kind of builds in. However, you also don't want to it's not throwing like 5 cups of coffee into your like fasted state. That's not what you want to do. More water. I started using hydrogen water, so we teamed up with Echo Water, and that's actually helped me. I actually really enjoy the hydrogen enriched water. source. So I drink that, and then I do coffee and green tea actually now.
Yeah.
I've been doing a lot more of, but I don't know what it.
Yeah, I like that.
And then how much, right? Too. It's like you also a good amount of water. Another thing that I also started doing in terms of like habits is getting water at a temperature controlled state. I don't get ultra cold water because I don't want to have to be going to the bathroom all the time. A lot of people don't know this, but like if you drink warmer water, your body naturally can break down that water faster and then put it and hydrate your body faster, and you're not going to be peeing nearly as much. Yeah. So those are some of the things that I do as like hacks.
Yeah, I do those as well. I like the electrolytes in the water. That's a big one, right? Electrolytes, you can skip the coffee like you were talking about. Electrolytes will give you energy naturally.
Who do you have a brand that you typically? I know Element is one of them.
Element's cool. I honestly just do like salt, bro. Like
salt?
Sea salt. Just some
Alessi salt. Sea salt.
Some Alessi plug, right? Mediterranean sea salt ground right into the water, bro. Maybe a little pinch of lemon, give it a little flavor. But like before I eat anything, I'll make sure I drink like at least 24 ounces of water.
Yeah.
Big mason jar, and that's just like my morning.
Yeah. I have
that. And then, the question was what habits, what things can like get you through that. I think it's like using, like we talked about, using that mental edge that you've now gained. So like whether it's like getting some work done, whether it's being creative, right? You're going to unlock some creativity probably with that. Yeah. Or like journaling, and kind of like allowing your body to like use that state that it's in.
Yeah.
That's a good one too.
Those are good. Another hack that I will say helped me. So I have this like water bottle that tells you how many ounces you have. That is super helpful.
Yeah, that's cool.
Because when you're doing that, people naturally, they don't realize it or not, but there's a level of gamification in that is like, oh, I got 16 ounces in, only 16 more to go, right? And it kind of builds you up, and you're like gamifying your drinking water and hydrating. And hydration is like absolutely
key.
The reason why you're getting headaches, probably the root cause on the back end of a day, is likely because you don't have enough hydration in your body.
Yeah, you woke up, the first thing you put in your body was black coffee, bunch of crap in it. So you spiked your insulin, you started a diuretic effect on your body.
Exactly.
Dehydrating yourself. So before you even drink coffee, man, water.
Boom.
Gotta be water.
And we're going to dive into this, but like, that's an impact on cortisol levels as soon as you put caffeinated beverage in there. Like, get away from the caffeine.
Yeah.
First thing. They're not bad. Caffeine's not bad. Just don't do that first thing. Get some hydration in your body. That's what your body feeds off of.
That's right.
And you go from there. So.
Every cell is 90% water, right? We are water. So
100%. What are we talking about next episode?
Yeah. I think we're bringing on a guest for the next episode, right?
Dude, I love it. Oh yeah, we're going to be talking about the documentary The Game Changer, which is huge. I'm super excited about this because we're going to be talking about that documentary. I took that documentary like to heart, ran it by you. I'm like, yo, doc, like tell me that they're right here. You told me they're not. You're like, watch this episode. I dove, but I had and then watched another documentary, which we'll be talking about. But we're going to be focusing on the Game Changer documentary, mainly talking about that. I learned a lot of stuff out of that. That can be, you can extract some good stuff. Yeah. And then out of the good stuff, you really need to filter a lot. Yeah. Because that is going to be a huge thing. Super excited to talk to Jerome about that.
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
Jerome actually he was a high level athlete in college. I think he went to Oregon or Oregon State. We'll clarify that. But ran track, and he's now into his 40s. Still keeps himself in really good shape. Is a personal trainer here in Tampa Bay. But awesome man of God too. Really cool dude.
Awesome.
But he watched that, and I think he has some interesting kind of topics and outlooks. Cool. But thank you so much for a couple of the things that I pulled out of that. So we'll dive into that.
Looking
like head
that,
first.
Man.
I'm looking.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. Yeah. First guest.
All right, brother.
Awesome, brother. See you on. Stay full fueled, bro.
Stay fueled.